In 2013, a research team at the University of Rochester Medical Center documented a biological phenomenon that fundamentally changed our understanding of the human brain. For centuries, medicine believed the brain was the only organ in the body that lacked a self-cleaning mechanism. We assumed it simply stewed in its own metabolic waste until it eventually declined. But the researchers discovered something else. They found that during deep restorative states, the space between your brain cells can increase by 60%. This opening allows cerebrospinal fluid to wash through the tissue like a tide, flushing out the toxic proteins that accumulate during your waking hours. They called this the glymphatic system. However, there is a catch. This washing mechanism is purely mechanical. It requires a specific physiological switch to activate. If that switch is not flipped, the washing does not happen. The toxins remain. The static builds. If you are watching this, it is likely because that switch has been stuck in the off position for years. You are stuck in what neurobiology calls sentinel mode, a state of hypervigilance where the brain refuses to enter its cleaning cycle. In the next few minutes, we are not going to talk about your feelings or your childhood. We're going to look at the mechanics of your biology. I am going to walk you through a specific 5-minute ritual validated by modern neuroscience and mirrored in ancient restorative practices that manually override sentinel mode. This is about flipping the switch. It is about clearing the debris so that for the first time in a long time you can experience the silence of a clean mind. Let us verify if you are currently operating in sentinel mode. We do not need to look at a medical chart. We only need to look at the sensations currently present in your body. You likely know the feeling of the tired but wired paradox. But let's go deeper into the somatic map. You may notice a specific heaviness that sits right behind the forehead, a pressure that isn't quite a headache, but feels like a dense fog pushing outward against your skull. There is often a subtle vibrational hum that can show up at the base of the skull or behind the ears. It can feel like a nervous system running high voltage through a wire that is too thin, a biological buzzing. When you lay down to rest, your body remains rigid. You might feel a tightness in the solar plexus, a knot that refuses to unravel even when the room is dark and safe. Your thoughts are not necessarily loud, but they are constant, like a ticker tape that you cannot find the remote control to pause. You wake up unrefreshed, with a sensation of grit behind the eyes and a stiffness in the neck. This is not a mood disorder. This is not a character flaw. This is a physiological traffic jam. Your brain is trying to shift into cleanup, but the conditions are not allowing it. You're carrying yesterday's metabolic load into today's cognitive function. For a long time, modern medicine treated sleep issues with sedation. The goal was simply to knock the patient out. But unconsciousness is not the same as the restorative deep state associated with glymphatic clearance. You can be unconscious for 8 hours and still wake up heavy if the brain never fully transitions into the downshifted physiology that supports deep restoration. Modern neuroscience has begun to map the conditions that support this shrink and wash cycle. One repeated finding across this literature is that high norepinephrine, the chemistry of alertness, is associated with reduced interstitial space and suppressed clearance, while the drop in norepinephrine during deep sleep supports the opposite. Interestingly, this sequence was described in older traditions, even if the language was different. In ancient restorative systems, practices like yoga nidra were designed to guide the body into a state where the mind is quiet and the body's alarm signaling softens. They did not have microscopes, but they did observe the same outcome, a clearer mind after a deeper kind of rest. Science explains the mechanism. The mystics mapped the experience. We are going to use the precision of the former to unlock the wisdom of the latter. To understand the ritual we are about to perform, you must understand the machinery you are operating. Your brain is suspended in cerebrospinal fluid, CSF. This fluid is part of the brain's clearance environment. During the day, as your neurons fire to process emails, conversations, and decisions, they produce metabolic byproducts, including waste proteins such as beta amyloid. In a healthier night pattern, when you enter deep non-REM sleep, the brain's support environment shifts. The interstitial space increases, and CSF and interstitial fluid exchange becomes more efficient, which supports clearance of metabolic waste. Here is the breakdown. The input, you enter a state of high stress vigilance. Sentinel mode. The system response, your body stays in alert chemistry, including higher norepinephrine signaling. The outcome, the brain remains in a tighter, more vigilant state, and the deeper cleanup dynamics are reduced. Over time, this accumulation and strain contributes to inflammation and dysregulation. That is what you feel as brain fog, irritability, and the buzzing sensation. You're trying to think through a system that never fully downshifted. The ritual we are using is designed to help your physiology downshift, reduce the alarm tone, and create conditions that support the brain's night work. We are using posture, breath chemistry, and attention, not force, to change the state. I need to be very clear with you before we begin the protocol. This is not a magic pill. This is not a hypnotic trick that will instantly erase 20 years of high cortisol habits in a single session. We are dealing with biology, and a biology respects consistency, not intensity. You cannot force a flower to bloom by pulling on the petals, and you cannot force your brain to detox by trying harder. In fact, trying is part of the problem. Trying is sympathetic activity. What we are doing is creating the conditions for the body to do what it naturally wants to do. We are removing the obstacles. Some of you will feel a shift immediately, a sudden cooling sensation or a deep, heavy relaxation. For others, it may take 3 or 4 nights of practice before the nervous system recognizes the signal. If you have dizziness, panic sensitivity, COPD, or any condition where breath holds feel uncomfortable, skip the hold completely. Comfort is not weakness, it is the safety signal. Be patient with your own physiology. You have been running a marathon for years. It takes time to learn how to stop running. Trust the mechanism. The body knows how to heal. We are reminding it that it is safe to start. We call this ritual the cranial valve release. It is best performed at night, right before sleep, lying in bed. However, you can do this seated if you need a midday reset. There are 3 phases to this ritual: the position, the breath, and the scan. Phase 1. The neutral neck. The position. Lie down on your back. Do not use a high pillow. We want the neck neutral and long. Now place your hands on your belly, interlocking the fingers loosely. Make a tiny chin tuck, just enough to lengthen the back of the neck. as if you are giving the brainstem a message. The watch is over. This is not about forcing the vagus nerve with anatomy tricks. This is about reducing cervical alarm signaling and giving your nervous system a clear cue of safety and support. Phase 2, the hydraulic breath, the rhythm. We will use a 4-7-8 rhythm, but the hold is always optional. Inhale quietly through the nose for a count of 4. As you inhale, imagine the breath expanding the back of your ribs, pressing into the mattress. If it feels easy, pause for up to a count of 7. If it does not feel easy, pause for 1 to 2 seconds, or do not pause at all. Then exhale completely through the mouth, making a soft whoosh sound for a count of 8. That long exhale is the break. It tells the heart to slow. It tells the system to downshift. It reduces the chemistry of watchfulness. Repeat this cycle 4 times. Phase 3, the somatic release, the scan. Return to normal breathing. Bring your attention to the space between your eyebrows. Imagine the bone there is softening, turning from solid to liquid. Move your attention to your jaw. Unclench the back teeth. Let the tongue fall away from the roof of the mouth. Feel the weight of your eyes sinking back into the sockets. Now, visualize a cool, clear wave of water starting at the crown of your head, slowly washing down through the mind, dissolving the gray static and carrying it down through the neck and out of the body. Feel the heaviness leaving. Feel the sentinel standing down. As you adopt this ritual, you will notice a progression of changes. We are mapping this not just by how you feel, but by how you function. Nights 1 through 3, you will likely experience the physiological sigh. This is an involuntary double inhale or a deep yawn that happens during the practice. This is a strong sign your autonomic nervous system has shifted gears. You may feel a tingling in the hands or feet as blood flow redistributes. Week 1. The morning grit behind his eyes begins to fade. You will wake up realizing you didn't toss and turn as much. The buzzing sensation diminishes. You're no longer waking up in a deficit. You're starting closer to neutral. Month 1. This is where the identity shift happens. You stop identifying as an insomniac or an anxious person. You realize those were symptoms of a system stuck on watch. You will find your focus returning. Your ability to handle complex tasks without fatigue improves. The sentinel is no longer running your life. You are. You're not alone in this exhaustion. There is a silent epidemic of sentinel mode in our modern world, and finding the way out is a quiet revolution. We are building a community here of people who are choosing biology over noise and rest over hustle. If you felt that shift, if you felt the sentinel stand down even for a moment, then you are part of this restoration. I invite you to try the cranial valve release tonight, and tomorrow come back and simply leave a note in the comments about what you noticed. Not for the algorithm, but to let others know that the mechanism works, that it is possible to wash the mind clean. Rest well,